Good morning. I am Tiffany Joy Bankhead, and this is the Self Help Today show where you learn to start helping yourself. So, welcome to today's show. On episode 17, we are talking about how to deal with panic attacks, part 2 of a 2-part series. Episode 16 was part 1, so if you missed that, go back and watch the replay. All right, so today's introduction affirmation to get us going, we're going to say it 3 times. Repeat after me. So we'll start. I am courageous. I am courageous. I am courageous. You are courageous. You are courageous. Like, you have done so much in your life. You've gotten over so much, and you can get through it all. You can get through this. I think that's the important thing to remember when you have a panic attack, is that you can get through this, and you are courageous. You are strong enough to get through this. So, a little update on me. If you didn't notice, I haven't done the show in a few days, and that is because I'm dealing with my own mental health. This show is all about mental health and how to help yourself with your mental health. And it's important for me that, because I deal with my own mental health problems, that I help myself. Hold on, I gotta turn the fan off. Okay, hopefully you can hear me a little better now. But I have to take care of my mental health as priority number 1, because if I don't take care of my mental health, I can't help anybody else. I think that's important to remember. When you have mental health issues, if you don't take care of your mental health, you're not able to fully help anybody else. Like, obviously you can still show up for other people and try to help them out as much as you can, but when you're not your whole self, when you're not your healthiest self, your full self, it's really hard to take care of other people. So take care of yourself first, right? So that's what I've been doing, is taking care of myself. And fortunately, I have come off of the bipolar hypomania, so I'm no longer manic or hypomanic. There are episodes on bipolar hypomania. I forget which ones. I think it's like 7, 8, 9 or something like that. So go back and check that out. But unfortunately, what happens when you come off hypomania is that you can actually cycle into depression. So, and that's pretty typical if you have bipolar, that when you go through the high, then you go through the low, or vice versa. I think that's like characteristic of bipolar. So that's how people kind of describe it, is the highs and the lows, right? So I'm kind of starting to get into the depression. I am not sleeping very well. My sleep schedule is a little off, so I'm working on it, and that's why I have to prioritize my health, so that I am just my best self. So that's the whole reason we do this show, is that you can learn to prioritize your health and start taking care of yourself, so that way you can be your best self. So we're talking about panic attacks today. So I'm going to give you a little information about panic attacks, and then we're going to go over some of the symptoms, and then we're going to go over some tools that you can use to help yourself manage your panic attacks, help reduce them, or you can't necessarily like stop them like abruptly, but you can like reduce the symptoms, and you can lessen the time that they last. So we'll go over how to do that. So panic attacks, where do panic attacks come from? So if you've had a panic attack, you might have been in a situation that caused that. So it might be something traumatic, or it might be something triggering that was traumatic for you before, that ignited or started the panic attack, or it might be that you're in a fearful situation, so you might have like a phobia or a fear of something, and of like an object or something or a situation, and that might start your panic attack. Or your panic attack can just be for no reason at all. Like it can just come out of nowhere. I think for me, I've had both panic attacks from being triggered by trauma, and then I've also had panic attacks kind of like come out of nowhere. Like, and sometimes we talked about this on the last episode 16, but a lot of times anxiety and having like intense anxiety can lead to a panic attack. And a panic attack can be a symptom of anxiety, or it can be induced by a substance. So certain substances like drugs can cause a panic attack. So just be aware of that. So that's just where panic attacks might be coming from. So we're going to go over the symptoms. Like I said before, a panic attack is like an abrupt surge of intense fear or discomfort, and it's both physical and mental. I think that's important to remember for panic attacks, is that the symptoms are physically, like you feel them. We went over in episode 16 some of the symptoms of like short of breath, heart pounding, heart racing, cold sweat, trembling, feeling like you're choking, chest pain, stomach pain, nausea or abdominal pain, or vomiting can all be some of the physical symptoms of a panic attack. Sometimes panic attacks are also called anxiety attacks, but it's basically the same thing. Anxiety attack, panic attack. Anxiety attack might just be a couple, like 2 or 3 of these symptoms, and technically to be a panic attack you have to have 4 or more of these symptoms. So you might have some of the ones we just described, and then you might have also some of these that we're going to talk about. So another symptom of a panic attack could be feeling dizzy or lightheaded. It can be like kind of like you're going to faint, like you kind of feel like, ooh, like just out of it, like you just feel lightheaded, right? And like you could be dizzy, or you might feel like unsteady, or like you're going to faint. Just going back to the other symptoms before, like when you're having a panic attack, kind of like what it might show up as is like a shorter breath, like you can't breathe, like can't catch your breath, like, and then like heart racing or the pain, and you're like either choking or like this, just like this overwhelming sense of like all your senses are kind of heightened, and it's overwhelming, like it's uncomfortable. That's the main thing, is like you feel discomfort, like you feel uncomfortable, and it's hard to control. That's one of the symptoms. Okay, so another symptom is feeling chills or even like heat. So that kind of goes along with the one on 16 where we said like sweating, like you might have a cold sweat, or you might just, okay. All right, boys. All right, settle down. It's okay. It's okay. No. That's why this is the SHT, Self-Help Today, aka Shit Show, because the dogs, you never know when they're going to act up. So they're just barking at nothing, basically. But anyway, you might have the chills or heat. So another symptom of a panic attack could be numbness or a tingling sensation. This is called paresthesis. I'm not even sure how to say that, but basically it's like a tingling or numbness. So you might feel that in your hands or your arms, maybe even your feet or something, but you might feel like a little numb. Another symptom that is more like mental is that you don't connect with reality, that you're kind of feeling like derealization, so you're not really connecting with reality and what's going on, like, and that's another like thing about panic attacks, is that it you could be in a situation and like it could be like chaos around you. Like you might be in a public place, or you might be like at a family event or something like that, and all of a sudden you get this overwhelming sense, but you disconnect from what's going around you because it's so overwhelming. All you can think about, or all you can concentrate on, is what is happening with the panic attack. So you kind of lose touch with reality, or you might feel detached from yourself. So you might have depersonalization, where you don't really feel connected to yourself. And that's the thing, a panic attack, it makes you feel like you're out of your body. Like it's like ironic because, right, your body is reacting, you're feeling all these symptoms, but you might not feel like yourself. Like you probably definitely don't feel like yourself, because your normal state is not having in a panic attack state, right? Like, and panic attacks, like, what's important to remember is that they're temporary. Like, it might last 5-10 minutes, it might last 20-30 minutes, but more than likely your panic attack is not going to last longer than like 30 minutes. It's kind of, I mean, I don't want to say they can't go longer, but it's kind of out of the norm for them to be longer than that. So just remember, when you're going through a panic attack, like, it's temporary. Like, you will get through this, and it's not going to last forever. But one of the main symptoms of a panic attack that we've kind of discussed already is like losing control. So you feel like you're out of control. This could also feel like maybe like the world's caving in. So it just feels like this overwhelming sense of like the worst thing is happening. Panic attacks, when I'm in it, it feels like this is the worst thing that could happen to me, because of the overwhelming sense. And it might feel like the world is against you, or the world's like just crumbling. Like, it's a very dramatic situation, and I'm not making light of it, because it is so hard to deal with. So that's why I'm going to give you tools to help manage them. So the last symptom I want to cover is the fear of dying. So this is also a mental symptom. So a lot of times, especially if you haven't had a panic attack before, you might have that fear of like you're going to die, especially if you're having like the shortness of breath, your heart racing and stuff. It might feel like you're going to die, but I promise you, like, you are going to be okay. You are going to get through this. You're not going to die. Like, a panic attack cannot kill you. Like, it might feel like it's going to kill you. It might feel like the worst thing ever, but it won't kill you. So, okay. So the first tool I have is just to write it out. And this might seem obvious, or might not seem like a tool really, but the thing when panic attacks happen is that you feel like it's the worst thing ever, and you feel like you're not going to get through it. But if you can just, like, for a second, like pause your thinking, pause in that moment. Like, I know panic attacks, it's like there's so much going on, but if you can just go, okay, I'm going to ride this out, and just like think like, okay, this is temporary. I am going to write it out. So one thing I suggest to help you write it out is either sit in a comfortable chair and put your feet on the ground, put like your hands on your lap, like on your legs. And that's another thing, is like the grounding. So like touching your legs and putting your feet on the ground. We talked about we're going to talk about grounding more for the next tool. But like sit in a comfortable chair, or lay down on the ground if you feel like that is kind of helpful too. If like the world feels like it's caving in, like lay down on the ground so you have that like foundation where you feel like, okay, I'm supported. And then close your eyes and just focus on your breathing. So when you're having a panic attack, you might be like shortness of breath and stuff. But if you can just close your eyes and just focus like breathing, like 1, 2, 3 in, hold for 3, 1, 2, 3 out. And even if you can't breathe slowly, just notice your breathing and just like feel like the air coming in your lungs, filling up your chest and your stomach, and then feel the air leaving your body. So that's the first tool we have. So the next tool, we talked about this last time, but I wanted to go over it more, is grounding. So grounding is probably the most effective tool for having it when you're having a panic attack. Grounding just brings you back to your center and it calms your senses. So what you do with grounding is basically you're using your 5 senses to bring yourself like back to reality, because like I said, with panic attacks you feel like you're out of touch with the reality, you're out of control. So if you can just control just these few things, it starts to bring back that steadiness and calm your system, calm your body down. So your senses. So it's 5 things you can see. So look at 5 things. We talked about this last time. 4 things you can hear. So listen for 4 noises, or at least try to, like if it's really quiet, like obviously you can't really hear much, but 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch. So we talked about this last time, but touch your arm, like maybe the hairs on your arm or something. If you're wearing like jewelry or like a necklace, bracelet, whatever, ring, like touch your ring, kind of feel it, like you feel it and observe, like just notice the texture, the sensation of touching it. Touch your legs, like your pant leg, or grab your shirt or something. So 3 things you can touch, and just like hold that object and just like bring your focus, bring your attention to it. So 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell. So if you can do this, light a candle and just smell it. Like also if it's like a relaxing, like a lavender candle or something, that would be helpful. Or if you have like essential oils, get your essential oils, put it on your wrist or whatever, or just hold it up to your nose and smell it. So 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste. So this might be a little weird because when you're having a panic attack, you don't want to eat. So I'm not saying like necessarily eat something, but it could be like the tip of your finger. Just taste that, like, because it's a little salty. I mean, if your fingers are dirty, you might not want to do that. But 1 thing you can taste, even if it's just like maybe you take a piece of candy, like a peppermint or something, or like even like, if you're a germaphobe, this is not a good suggestion because some people don't like, money's really dirty, but like if you have like a penny or something, kind of like nibble the tip of the penny so it's like coppery. Like just 1 thing you can taste, like I don't know, if you have like water, like just drink water and taste that. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. All right, so those are the tools. And then the last tool I want to provide for you is going to see a therapist or doing like group therapy. I always like highly recommend therapy because I have done years of it. It's been really helpful for me. I like really encourage people to go to therapy, especially if you have mental health issues that are ongoing. You really want to deal with them. And a lot of what panic attacks come from is trauma. So I really believe a lot of panic attacks are triggered by your trauma. And so when something triggers you, when something reminds you of it, then you're going to go into that state of a panic attack. So dealing with the trauma is going to be helpful for reducing your panic attacks. So I highly recommend therapy. Some of the therapy that I've tried that has been helpful is CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy. They have group therapy for CBT, or you can do one-on-one. I highly recommend group therapy, especially because it, like, some people might not feel like talking in front of other people, but you don't need to talk right away. You can, when you're in group therapy, it's like ongoing for a little while. So usually they do like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. So you'll feel more comfortable, and once you see other people sharing, you'll feel like a sense of connection and you'll start to want to share yourself. So I highly recommend group therapy. Also, I've done group therapy for CBT and DBT, so dialectal behavior therapy, DBT. That works great as group therapy as well. And then for trauma, I recommend EMDR therapy. So EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Basically, it's a way to reprocess, like retrain your brain and process the trauma. So EMDR, I highly recommend that. All right. So we are at the end, so we're going to do our affirmations. I will say you are, and then we'll say I am, and we'll repeat it twice. So I'll start. You are doing the best you can. You are strong and steady. You make room for peace in your life. You will get through this. You focus on the present moment. Okay, let's say I am, and then I'll pause after each one so you can say it. So I am doing the best I can. I am strong and steady. I make room for peace in my life. I will get through this. I focus on the present moment. So when you're having a panic attack, like I said, like it might feel like you're not connected to yourself or reality, but try to just be in the present moment, because that is really what's going to calm you down and get you through it. So let's say it one more time. So I am doing the best I can. I am strong and steady. I make room for peace in my life. I will get through this. I focus on the present moment. Okay, so our ending quote is from Maya Angelou today. I think you guys all know who Maya Angelou is. If you don't know, she's an amazing author, so look her up. But she says, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. So you may not be able to control the panic attack. You may not be able to control the situation that leads to the panic attack. But you can decide not to let it ruin your life. You can decide to overcome it. You can decide to move on and like not let it bring you down. I think when you have a panic attack, it kind of might tend to ruin your whole day. But if you can just do the grounding, even if you do grounding after you have the panic attack, to just kind of bring you back in, help you center yourself, help you just calm down and just reconnect with reality. I think that is very helpful. So use these tools I gave you. Write it out, lay down or sit down in a comfortable seat, focus on your breathing, use grounding, go see a therapist, especially if this is an ongoing thing with multiple panic attacks. So that's the help I have for you today to start helping yourself. So like I said, I'm Tiffany Joy Bankhead. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope it helped you, and until next time, start helping yourself.